Everyone online and everyone here. So, when I said when I said the other morning, the other night, whenever I said I feel ridiculously healthy. A monk would never say that in Thailand. He would say adequate. So, like, exuberant expressions of anything are kind of gauche. So probably when I get sick, I think, it's terminal. But I don't know. I'm Canadian, so like expressions awesome, or now what is it? We've gotten to beyond awesome, haven't we? So we kind of escalate the superlatives in this culture. In Thailand, no, people are kind of, how was your meditation? Good enough. And the meal, it was nutritious. It's very low key. So I was thinking of Ajahn Chah. If I would have said that to him, like, I feel great. He'd look at me. Meine means uncertain, and that was his favorite word. I don't know if it was his favorite word, but the two words that in my memory, he used the most was otton and meine. And meine means uncertain, and otton means endure. Endure. But the meine, these great teachers, they take on like one word and they keep working it. Like Luang Sumedho's, it's like this, huh? And it goes deeply into our jittas and becomes really significant. Because the word, like Luang Sumedho's, it's like this. Well, of course it's like this. That's a tautology. But of course he's pointing to something more than just kind of mundane description. It's like the awakened mind. It's like this. And to use that, the suggestion is, and what's the silence to know that? It's like this. Which is different than just, how else could it be but like this? But Luang Por Chah's meine, it's uncertain, is a kind of interesting way to look at anicca. It's impermanent, but it's uncertain. Really, for me, strikes the whole realm of perceptions and judgments and interpretations that we have about ourselves and others. And so if I had a perception about another monk or something, he would say meine. Not as a put down, but as a kind of awakening. Yeah, that's your perception, but it's meine, it's uncertain. So then the tendency to grasp the perceptions of self or other as a fixed reality were really, you could awake to that. You could really, really see that. And then if it was like a perception about my own practice or something like that, meine, otton. If monks came to him with fabulous insights and fantastic meditation experiences, and then they'd go to him, Luang Por, am I a Sotapatti? He'd say, I don't know. You figure it out. He'd throw him back into doubt. And if I remember one monk came and said he had some deep attainment, and Luang Por Chah said, "Go back to your hut and meditate." He wasn't buying any of it. He would, like the senior monks, he would test them in a more serious way to ask them where there's at. But those are always private discussions, never really. But in a kind of general setting, it was very funny, very, very funny. But he felt that if he had someone who was overly educated on Buddhism, they'd be the hardest to teach. Like a PhD in Buddhism would be, this is going to be difficult, because they would have so many ideas, so many ideas and concepts, which isn't bad, but like he told me to stop reading for 5 years. He said, you just got too many concepts. Your mind's just chock-a-block with ideas. And I could see that in I think all of us can see that. We read something and then we try to match our experience to some book knowledge, which is not the way of insight. I think the way of insight works that you do read, you do study, and then that becomes a kind of background inquiry in your kind of subconscious. So you're viewing the world through a certain perspective of Dhamma, perspective of Four Noble Truths, and because you've got that, it's kind of like bird watching. You like as a twitcher, is that what they call them in England? Twitchers, bird watchers. I think that's it. No, you're from England. In bird watching, you get to know what you want to look at. The length of a neck, or a color on some part, or the shape of a beak, or whatever, because you're looking at birds. You're bird watching. Or if you read a field guide on birds, and you want to see what was the one I was seeing, household wren, a very common bird. And then you look at the field guide, and you look around, and you hear that, and then you start to look, and oh yeah, there's a household wren. So I think in the same way, the study of the Four Noble Truths is very important, and the remembering of it as the basic framework of contemplation is important. So whenever there's stress or whatever's going on in your life, you have that in the background of your view of the way things are, and then you start to know yourself particularly well, and then those habits of your own psyche you begin to pick up on very, very quickly. So like if your mind is very judgmental about something, and that goes into a huge narrative, obviously after a while you spot the judgment. You say, "Meine, it's uncertain." You have any kind of perceptual structure, "Meine, uncertain," and what that does over time is that it clears your mind. Your mind is much, much, much more open, more available. So Ajahn Chah didn't teach like in the modern day. You have this division of samatha vipassana, and that didn't exist in my monastery, because it's something that came out of Burma and Sri Lanka more. It's not really from the kind of old school of Buddhism, because I think it's a misunderstanding. And Ajahn Chah would say, well, samatha vipassana are really one thing. When you're grounded and present and composed, insight will arise. And when insight arises, you'll be more grounded and composed. Just simple like that. If you pick up a log, you get both ends of the log. And so people sometimes ask, it's like, I asked a vipassana teacher in Michigan, not you, or not Richard, another one. I won't mention her name anyway. I said, why do you use the word vipassana? Why not just call it Buddhism? She said, well, you need a brand name. So the kind of modern renderings of different aspects of Buddhism are fine or not, and the kind of tendency, like say mindfulness and stress reduction, those are all very, very good. But I would hope that we don't forget about the unconditioned, the uncreated, because that was the point of the teaching. It wasn't simply to be a better person. It was to realize something profound and something very deep. And so I've been trying to allude to that through these kind of strange, like the awareness, knowing awareness, presence, different kind of language, and that's not the language of a type of experience, is it? Like you should be happy, or you should be this, or you should be that. No, it's the kind of background and knowing of that. So I hope that's, I don't know how effective that is. But whatever you are witnessing, the fact that you are making conscious the way things are allows you to witness material which, again, might not be so pleasant. So Luang Sumedho would, like the early years, for many years, he would just say consciousness is the escape hatch. So by actually opening up and allowing things to be there rather than focusing on something and trying to attain to something, you might make life worse for yourself. But not worse in a bad way. The material might come up that is, it's not so much repressed, it just hasn't had a chance to be witnessed, I think. I would say it that way. It isn't a willfulness, but I think all of us then will experience things which are difficult but liberating. So I was sharing with the group this morning something that happened to me which was kind of shocking. So we just had the 90th birthday of Luang Sumedho, the celebration at Amaravati, and there were 120 monks and 30 nuns, hundreds of lay people. I'm one of the senior monks. 25 years ago, I was at Amaravati, and I burnt out. My mind was just fused. It was like really, really bad. And I just had to get out of there in a stretcher almost. It was not good. I got psychologically overwhelmed by the complexity of the situation. So then, 25 years later, like the last 5 years, I've never felt happier in my life. Really open, my heart's really, really open, and I'm enjoying weaving and all of that. And I get to Amaravati, and I intuitively knew there's got to be something deep in my citta that is going to come out. And it came out like in spades. It was horrible. It was like 2 days of absolute horror. And my mind said, you're a basket case. You're pathetic. You just have to start again. I go, whoa. In the meantime, oh, Bhante, how are you? I haven't seen you for 20 years. Oh, I'm great. I'm fine. I'm having a great time, right? Oh, Bhante, would you like to give a talk? Oh, yes, certainly. I love that. That's a great idea. And, it was torture. So, but there was enough. It's interesting. It's like Garfield, like you said, it is real, right? It is real, but it's changing, it's uncertain, and there is a refuge. And because I have that kind of equipment, I could go back. Fortunately, I had my own room. Otherwise, they would mean to take me to the hospital. but I just do yoga nidra and say, okay, this is what it is. Bring it on. And was it worrying? It was kind of beyond worrying. It was like not understandable in a logical way. And yet it was understandable in the sense I kind of expected something to come up. But I can't say that I was repressing anything. I wasn't sitting around, I was really open, very, very open. But it was the causes and conditions were this very complex gathering where my old identity, I guess, kind of got triggered or whatever. And then Richard's there and Maureen's there, and I'm, oh, hi, Maureen, really nice to see you. I want to go to my room. and so I did as much charming Viradhammo as I could, and then back to the room, and then I went to see Luang, and my inner world was a complete mess. Here's my teacher, since 90th birthday, and everyone's celebrating, oh, this is going to be one of the greatest days ever, and I'm not feeling good, Bhante. And I just went through the motions and expressed gratitude, but it was a kind of different space. And so it lasted 2 days, and then the echoes were about a week, and now I feel great again. But I hope it doesn't come again. I don't need that. But it just to kind of encourage you if something comes up. Go. I mean, what choice do you have? Well, what choice do you have? You have to let it release from consciousness. Now, if I took it personally, then of course I'd create a sense of self around it. But 3 days later, that wasn't happening anymore. There was silence, emptiness, love. All those things were going on. So to have the resort, like, I talk to a lot of people who have these kind of experiences that I think like Ajahn Chah would always say, like, just keep doing the basic work. The basic work, morning meditation, refuge, sila, all that kind of work. And then if something difficult really comes forward, then you're prepared for it because you have the resources. But if you've never done that, you've never really built the resources of refuge and wholesomeness and awareness, then of course it's going to be quite overwhelming. When I see people who keep their minds distracted, and they're not looking at their inner lives, I think, is that a good idea? What's going to happen in that situation? The awareness, again, it's not a quality, is it? It's not about any particular quality, and that's what I'm kind of encouraging here. Is you realize that there is something which is not qualitative in the usual sense. It's just simply space, awareness, and open-heartedness. Yeah, I haven't talked about that before. But that's the way we're encouraged to teach from our own experiences. So let's do some sitting.